Duck was going through Judas Cradle torture method. Old versus battle edits are edits in early 7th grade, Kyle made on TikTok, and he posted a few TikToks that had random characters and /or real people fighting against each other. And no, I'm not talking about the sprite animations, I'm talking about the edits. The PMMS bracket was a bracket tournament which had those same kind of versus battle edits, templates. Instead, it was people from PMMS fighting, 7th grade. The edits were made on a separate account made by Kyle and Mason Sanders, which was then ended because another account, a fake one, was also making a bracket tournament, and they stole the idea. But then when the main account reported them, the main account also got reported too, which caused them to get banned. Then Kyle made a separate account by himself and continued the bracket tournament, but instead he gave up, and no more tournament for the rest of 7th grade. A few weeks after the PMMS bracket tournament, Kyle started a new bracket tournament which had rap albums, but they weren't just regular rap albums, they were mainstream rap albums. And Kyle used voting to choose who won. And some parts were agreeable, but come on. Mad Villainy is way better than Flower Boy. We can't even argue with that. That's not even a debate. That's just kind of crazy. The Christmas diss track was not a diss track on Christmas. It was Kyle dissing a lot of people in 7th grade. But not only that, it would feature a lot of other people dissing people too. That would include Braden Chambers, Reed Southard, Lucas Ramirez, Aiden Liddick, Drake Richardson, and a lot more. The people getting dissed were people like Reese, Camden Johnson, Asher, Mason Smith, Henry, and a lot more. This was never released as the beat was too garbage and the people took too long to write their verses. Savage Instinct was the original title for Savage Intentions, and it was actually that on a part 2 of Savage Intentions when it was posted on TikTok, because Kyle forgot the title of the song. That's how bad the song was. Savage Intentions was on Ghost Material. Peanut Torture was a lot of snaps that Kyle sent to Travis, which had a variety of machines crushing peanuts. More specifically, 3 test subjects, which Kyle made a lot of lore out of, and it was like a movie. The first one got killed, the second one got killed, the third one managed to escape, but eventually got killed, sadly. Pubic lice, Kyle believed was not real, and he had a big fear if it was real. When he learned in health class that it was real, he was terrified. The Bingjing family is a gigantic family tree filled with a lot of branches and a lot of lore tied to it. There was going to be a Bingjing family exploring video that was scrapped because Kyle was too lazy to continue working on it. So I'll give you the basics. there's 5 main classes: world-ending, hostile, neutral, dependent, and terminated. They are all based on anomalies in the dimension, normalcy, and overall stability of the dimension. Each branch has its unique place in the Bingjing family. For example, let's go to Branch K, the most popular one. Branch K has many unique species as well as anomalies like Kecker, Kess, Coker, the Coker Army, CRC, and can't forget Flim, which actually in one of the tales and lore of Branch K, Flim caused the entire branch and tree of the Bingjing family tree to collapse and force Kecker to suffer for eternity. There's a lot more anomalies and lore to Branch K, but Trover and the Outliers did manage to do a number on that dimension. That is where Trover and all of his outliers died, according to the Bingjing family tree lore. So, the Bingjing family complete tree has a lot to it, and I could probably make another whole iceberg that's bigger than this about the Bingjing family tree. That's just how much there is to it. And there are many documents from scientists working in the Bingjing family laboratory. There have been many found across the entire world studying the Bingjing family, as well as laboratories in other planets studying the Bingjing family. You also can't forget about the gods in the Bingjing family. In the lore, the gods are extremely powerful beings who possess the power to destroy dimensions and even the entire tree of the Bingjing family. And you also can't forget about the other worlds, such as Universe HXB, which is probably one of the most popular other worlds in the Bingjing family. I would keep going, but there is just too much to talk about the Bingjing family. Lobotomy snaps are included in the Bingjing family. Jacob Smith sends lobotomy snaps, which come from other worlds, according to the Bingjing family lore, and have been imprinted onto documents before, made by scientists, but they do not look human. Look at this one. Document 324, hashtag 2, AX2934, has been corrupted by one of Jacob Smith's lobotomy snaps. Other undiscovered families are separate from the Trover family tree and Bingjing family tree. They have malevolent beings and anomalies that possess potentially world-ending powers and have access to the real world. They are unfound, unknown, and when they become discovered, they will activate. They will end everything. In 7th grade, Kyle started to develop an addiction of racist jokes and racist humor. After a while, he started making racist jokes and remarks almost every day, and eventually every class because of how distorted his mind was. He made fun of whites, blacks, Hispanics, Arabs, Chinese, Indians, British, and likely a few more. This era lasted a few months, and his reputation started a downfall as it became known as the racist. Following this, it took a whole song, which was bad, and a couple months of convincing for his reputation for being racist to be forgotten, and Kyle finally stopped being racist. The Trover family tree is a family tree that is usually forgotten, and not much is really known about the Trover family tree. The outliers do not count. Some say that the Trover family tree hides something extremely dangerous within its universe. So that's why nobody decides to explore it. At Mika's sleepover party, Kyle, Mika, and AJ went outside at near 2 a.m. and Kyle was wearing Crocs, so when he stepped in the snow would go inside his Crocs, which made his feet feel like they were freezing, and he almost got frostbite, and Reed Southard was right to stay inside. This trauma made Kyle never go outside in snow with Crocs ever again. Before Kyle had his phone, he found something weird on his phone. He saw that before his number was put in, the number had already texted somebody some cryptic stuff. Here is what I'm talking about. Around 2 a.m. one night, Kyle and Travis had a Saw roleplay on Snapchat where Kyle forced Travis to go through terrifying things. He made him do horrible things such as killing Reese. Well, that's not really a horrible thing, but he also made him kill multiple African children in order to save his idol, JPEG Mafia. The African children got killed in such brutal and gruesome ways that if I showed it, it would get me banned on YouTube. One time, Kyle, Jeremy, and Kyle's friend named Kyle went to Ding Dong Ditch some random house, but it had cameras. And then a day later, Jeremy and Kyle pulled up to WSJ, but the guy was waiting there for them. So Jeremy and Kyle eventually walked away slowly without making it obvious, but the guy followed them. Jeremy and Kyle ended up being to 7-Eleven, and the guy turned out to be the guy who they ding-dong ditched. Jeremy looked on white pages for the house. Their name was Daniel Toth. So one time, Kyle and Jeremy walked to their house again to activate their motion sensor on their camera to see if it really was him. But then Kyle threw a rock at their fence and then ran away and hid. And then after 10 minutes, Kyle and Jeremy walked back to activate the motion sensor again, but Daniel Toth and his wife was outside looking at the broken fence. They were in the backyard, and Daniel Toth looked over the fence and looked at Jeremy and Kyle and said, "Hey, you got a problem?" And Kyle was like, "No." "What?" And then they ended up walking away. As Daniel Toth watched them walk away, his look gave them a scary feeling about the day tomorrow. The next day, Kyle walked to school with a feeling of dread. So, halfway to the bus stop, he saw the same car which was at the house they ding-dong ditched, and Daniel Toth was in the car waving at him, smiling weirdly. And Kyle thought that was weird, but he thought nothing of it. But when he crossed the street and was almost at the bus stop, the car came back and saw him. So he pulled over, rolled down his window, and yelled at him. Hey Kyle, you want to fight after school? We can do it. I'm gonna slap the shit out of you, and then I'll slap the shit out of your friend. Then I'm gonna tell your mom about it. Kyle did not know how he knew his name, and was really scared. Daniel Toth said the same thing to Jeremy. Eventually, this came to an end when Mika drove Kyle home on the same day that Daniel Toth said that to them in the morning. And then Kyle's parents went to look at the house he ding-dong ditched, and it turned out Daniel Toth had severe PTSD from war, and he had to go through 7 years of vandalism and ding-dong ditching, which is why Daniel Toth was so mad. That was the day right before Halloween, and that was the scare that Kyle needed right before Halloween. On October 11th, 2023, Kyle was in Miss Weigelt's class in 7th grade, and he was working on a project in class along with other students, but he was allowed to listen to music on his phone. The entire time, he did not turn his phone on, besides for listening to music. But the day after, he looked in his gallery, and there was a picture of him, but extremely distorted, on his phone that he did not know was there, and he did not take that picture. So, who took it? Was it somebody Miss Weigelt's? But here's the thing, it was a face photo. He had to have been looking at the camera for it. What do you think? You know that feeling when you dream about something and then it ends up happening the next day? That's what this story is most likely referring to. In 5th grade, Kyle had Discord, which he used frequently. A random user who was actually terminated added him and sent him a video of yelling creature. Here. No! No! And believe it or not, that was what Kyle saw in his dreams the day before. Do you think that this could be a coincidence? Or is there something to do with the user that sent him that? When Kyle was 7 to 8, he almost drowned when he went to Pennsylvania. He went in a swimming pool and he climbed on the edges, around the edges, and made it to the 6 feet zone, but his hand slipped and he couldn't get up, but he managed to grab onto a ladder and climb himself up. He had a headache for around half an hour until it eventually wore off. After that, when he got back home to his hotel with his parents, the TV started freaking out and started playing really weird clips. Kyle thought that there was something wrong with the TV, but the TV was hijacked. along with all the other TVs in the hotel, and it was playing the Wyoming incident. Let me show you the full video of the Wyoming incident.
Wyoming today, making him the first to visit in preparation for the 2008 general election. Republican President Jackson. Mitt Romney also plans on visiting Casper and Cheyenne on his presidential tour.
Another Discord incident. Kyle was sent a video from another terminated user that was actually sent in a server that he was in. The terminated user was not invited and was already in the server before the whole thing started. Nobody knew who it was. Nobody could kick him out. He was just there. He sent a video titled camelslaughter.mp4 that was supposed to be downloaded. Kyle was in 5th grade when this happened, so he didn't know any better. So he downloaded, and he watched the whole thing and was traumatized. One random day, Kyle was sent an email that was talking about tips on how to survive in an abandoned hospital. It talked about what you shouldn't do and what you should do, and nobody asked for it, and nobody was mentioning it. But Kyle saw this and was really freaked out when he did. And after that, he got a call from a private number that when he answered, it was just screaming. Just a woman screaming. Here's the email. And here's the private number. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I worked really hard on the iceberg, and if I forgot something in it, please know I deeply apologize. This video was really fun to make, and I was just happy thinking of the idea. I want to thank Travis and Squarespace for helping me with this video. If it wasn't for them, then this video wouldn't even exist. I also want to thank you all for having the time to click on this video and watch it. This is usually different from my other videos, and I'm glad it is because I watched a lot of Iceberg videos growing up, and I'm happy I could actually make one of my own. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.